Hello, and welcome to this screencast video about Creative Commons licensing. I'm Nancy Rimler, and I've designed this video to share with you what I learned over the summer when I took the Creative Commons certification course. I hope to serve two purposes with this video. First, I hope that at the end of this workshop, you'll have a better understanding of copyright restrictions and how Creative Commons licenses offer more flexibility in using, sharing, and adapting works while still honoring copyright restrictions. This information will help you design instruction legally and ethically, and I hope it will help you teach students how to design their assignments ethically. A secondary purpose for this workshop is to help you understand the guidelines for using, reproducing, and adapting creative works so that you won't find yourself or place Georgia Southern in legal trouble. Many universities, including Armstrong and Georgia Southern, have encountered such problems because of the use of licensed images. We must be mindful of how we are using, reproducing, and sharing creative works, especially images. We must instruct our students of how to use, reproduce, and share creative works in their assignments, especially if those assignments will be posted online. A citation does not always give one permission to share works. Students often misunderstand that. Let's start with the meaning of copyright because many students and faculty misunderstand that term also. Copyright refers to legal rights given to someone who created or owns a work, for instance, a photographer, an author, or a music composer. Copyright protects written texts, film, photography, visual arts, music. People who have copyright of works have the authority to assign or permit others to use that work. Copyright applies to a creator's work as soon as it is put in tangible form. An online publication is considered tangible form, so a work does not have to be registered in order to be copyrighted. In fact, this screencast video is already copyrighted to me because it's in tangible form. However, in order to take legal action against someone infringing on copyright, the copyright must be registered. So today, if someone used my screencast video without my permission, I can't take legal action because I haven't registered the copyright of this video. Another thing to keep in mind is that copyright law is effective in the country where the work is used. So if someone, say in Korea, wanted to use this video, that person would follow the Korean rules for permissions, even though this is an American video. Students and faculty might have heard the term fair use because in educational settings, people often invoke fair use of copyrighted works. Fair use is an exception to copyright restrictions, and it enables people to quote or reproduce portions of works without permission in order to critique, report, teach, or conduct research. That's how many of us are able to make photocopies, say, of a research article to have our students read. However, fair use is different from fair game. There are some limits to what we can do with someone else's copyright work. Here are some examples that fit well within the realm of fair use. Showing brief clips of a film for purposes of reviewing it, playing brief clips of a song for purposes of broadcasting a news segment about it, or photocopying a short story from an anthology for purposes of teaching it. But here are some examples where fair use would not apply. Scanning an entire book for students to read so that they don't have to purchase it. Playing an entire film to a group of students and faculty and taking donations to benefit a scholarship fund. Or creating a screencast video to publish on YouTube and using the theme of a film like Chariots of Fire as the background music. The thing about fair use is that it cannot infringe on a copyright holder's ability to sell or capitalize on his or her work. So if I scan an entire book and upload it to my folio class for my students, I've stepped on the author's ability to sell his or her book. That is not fair use. There's not a hard and fast definition of fair use. Instead, there's a way that you can assess your use of the work to determine whether it's fair or not. Georgia Southern and the University System of Georgia provide a rubric that we can use to assess our use of copyrighted works. And this rubric enables us to document how we're using works fairly. I've given on this slide two URLs that you can access the USG URL is probably the easier one to write down and remember, but either one of these URLs would take you to a checklist or a rubric that you can use to assess your use of copyrighted works so you can make sure that you are using them fairly. Now let's move on to the public domain. Works in the public domain make my life so much easier. These are works that are available to the public as a whole. They are not subject to copyright restrictions, and they can be used and reproduced without permission and without penalty. There are several ways that creative works can get in the public domain. For instance, if they were created prior to January 1st, 1924, they are just in the public domain. If they were created between January 1st, 1924 and December 31st, 1977, and their owners did not reapply for copyrighted renewal, those works are also in the public domain. Works that were created during this time period, it would be a little bit more difficult to figure out whether they had renewed their copyright, but your librarian might be able to help you find that out. If works were created by the federal government, their employees or their officers, while doing the work of those federal bodies, then those works are in the public domain. For instance, a photograph taken by an officer of the U.S. Navy doing work for the U.S. Navy, that photograph would be in the public domain. If a work's owner dedicated it to the public domain, then obviously it's in the public domain. Or if a work is not the type of work that is protected by copyright, it might also be in the public domain. Here are some examples of works in the public domain. Huckleberry Finn, for instance. Mark Twain's novel was created prior to January 1st, 1924, and so it is in the public domain. So you 19th century literature teachers have a lot of works to choose from. The novel Anthem by Ayn Rand is also in the public domain. Even though it was published after January 1st, 1924, she failed to renew the copyright of that novel, and so now it's in the public domain. The Americans with Disabilities Act, that's a federal law. It was written by people who work for the federal government in the course of doing the work for the federal government, and so it's a work under public domain. You can reproduce it and quote it and publish it and use it however you need to. The photo on this slide is also in the public domain because it was dedicated to the public domain. There are a few works that aren't protected by copyright, and so they would also be in the public domain. Ideas, for instance, titles are not in the public domain, so they're fair game. Facts such as dates or formulas, E equals MC squared, for instance, is in the public domain. One can't copyright that, and so you can go write that all over the place if you want to and publish it. Words and phrases or familiar symbols could be in the public domain, and this is a little bit of a gray area, but where symbols are concerned, for instance, H2SO4, the chemistry symbol, is in the public domain because it's so familiar and so widely used. There are some symbols that can be protected under trademark law. For instance, the Coca-Cola swoosh underneath its brand is trademarked. So even though we're not infringing on copyright if we use that, we are infringing on trademark if we reproduce it. And then, of course, works that are not fixed in tangible form are not protected by copyright. For instance, if I have a tune in my head and I go to the store and I sing it or hum it, and then the person in the next aisle hears it and writes it down, that person has copyright to the song that I made up because that person put it in tangible form when I did not. So in part 2 of this video series, I'll get to Creative Commons licenses and how they offer more flexibility for using creative works, but for now, I'll leave you with these recommendations. Please check the copyright restrictions of any work that you intend to use for a class, for your scholarship, when you're designing a workshop or putting together a portfolio of any kind. Check the copyright restrictions of the works you plan to use. When you use a copyrighted work under fair use, use the university-provided rubrics to help you determine whether fair use applies to your work. And make sure that your students know these concepts as well. Again, a citation is not the same thing as permission to reproduce. Students can quote a paragraph from a source and cite it, and they have fairly used that source. But if a student copies a copyrighted photograph, cites it, and publishes it in her e-portfolio, she has infringed on the owner's copyright if she did not get permission to do that. The citation does not protect her from liability. Thank you for joining me. Now let's move forward to the next video.